So going live.
Yeah.
So hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Million Dollar Founder podcast series. I'm GS Kumar, LinkedIn marketing consultant and trainer. I'm super excited to welcome you all in this podcast series. So if you're watching for the first time, make sure to subscribe our YouTube channel 10 Crore Club. This podcast is aimed at ambitious startups who want to scale up, achieve $1 million revenue and marketing funding most of the items. So, in this episode, we will try and discuss the most prominent fault or what you call fixing issues, which is cash flow calamity of a startup. So, I'm happy to share this podcast with the investor, business mentor, building India's first and only HNA mastermind community called 10 Crore Club. Happy to welcome Mr. Kashif Karnala onto the stage, please.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Kumar, for one more episode. I'm looking forward to having an amazing session about cash flow. Let's start.
I'm sure there will be a lot of nuances like what we have done in the last three episodes. So we'll go with the basic element of any startup is raising funding, capital, all that. So in your experience, why do you think these cash flow issues are often becoming a very weak point of a startup? Because they have planned, they have created a product, they've created a team, multiple other things, but somehow they are getting stuck because of weak cash flow. So why do you think that is very, very often becoming a very weak point for them?
Yeah, I think the whole game of entrepreneurship is about how well can you utilize your resources. Cash is one of the resources, but the whole idea is time is a resource you have. A lot of other resources. How do you balance it all? And cash is an output of all the things that you do. Correct. So now cash is king. Cash is king. Cash is the bloodline for any business. And when startups don't know how to manage it, it is not only for smallest of startups who are starting from scratch, it is also for startups who are scaling up as well. If they mess up the whole cash flow, they are going to be trouble. So we know all these we know this Byju's, all these big companies are going through trouble is because they have messed up somewhere the cash flow. The question is there a solution to it? I don't know all the solutions to it, but I think there are some elements that we can focus on that will keep us. I think one of the elements is about looking at, let's say, a success story also. Zerodha, Zoho, they are all bootstrapped. So when a business has strong fundamentals, if it has that good discipline of managing the cost expenses versus the revenue, then there should not be technically a cash flow challenge.
Right. So, do you think any areas like pricing strategy or any other strategy have an influence towards their financial stability? Like, initially they might come up with a different pricing strategy. Later, by seeing the market potential, they may rise or they may offer a discount to sustain in the market. Is that playing any influence in the cash flow related process?
Yes, so it is very important to understand what is the unit economics, right? What is it that per unit, how much am I making? Because everything starts from the unit. How much profit am I making? How much is my fixed cost? What is my variable cost? Once you're able to understand the relationship between my fixed cost and how this fixed cost is going to get reduced when I have a lot of sales. When I have a lot of sales, of course, my cost per unit is going to come down. So if you understand that relationship between volume versus the cost, you are able to price below the competition as well. So if you are able to price below the competition, keeping volume in mind. So in the previous episodes, we understood about how do we generate volume, correct? Volume is because volume, all that everything cash flow starts from our regular lead flow, regular thing, right? So once we're able to master that volume part, then creating that pricing, playing with the pricing becomes a secondary part. So once you have volume, you can take over the market with good pricing, because customers are always looking for something which can be a better product at a good price. They're always looking for it, and if you're able to because if you're able to manage your costing, not overspending, right? One of the habits of founders is once they get cash, they take it out of the business. One of the killers of businesses, they take it out of the business. Initially, what we need to focus on is whatever we get from the business should be put back into running ads. Everything right now, what we do is everything we get from our business we put back into ads. So now, as an initial phase, we need to focus on how much less can I take from the business, because idea should be right. Because once there is momentum, once that momentum starts, and a lot of these things will start creating, because that creates stability. There is this running machine. Once that machine is well oiled, well done, that is when you can start slowly taking the money out of the business also, slowly.
No, that aligns again the business activities, right? So, as a startup founder, most of the time he is running behind operations, hiring a team, and technology setting up, and even customer acquisition or his own visibility. Multiple things.
Yeah.
So, how a particular startup can be measuring the ROI in terms of time spent on business activities?
Oh, fantastic. So I think the concept is called return on time invested. So for that, a founder needs to understand what are my top revenue making activities. So for that to understand, you need to understand what all am I spending my time on. So in our workshops, we take them through a process where the founder fills up everything that he does. Typically we even do our own Canva, we do our own lot of things, small things. We think it is a small thing, but if you actually understand how we do it, is we need to understand what is my highest revenue generating activity. Is it about talking to clients? Is it about talking to my sponsors? What is it? What is it that going to give me the highest money that I can with my skill? Because as founders, we are all rounders, right? Like Hardik Pandya, we are doing a lot of things. We can do a lot of things. The problem becomes that you don't know how to let go, because we think hiring someone is a cost item. We want to do everything on our own. That's a usual thing. As a solopreneur, we want to do
Typical
everything,
mindset. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I have been there myself as well. And the day you realize that your time is valuable, the day you realize that there is someone better than me who can do that job, that's when you start understanding. And also the day you all understand that I am good at certain thing, I'm good at these things, I'll only focus on these things, then the rest of the things you can start bringing people together to take over. For example, now this podcast itself, I used to do my hosting right now, right? So now I understood Kumar is a very good host, and now I have let go of that zone, right? Similarly, the art is about art of running a business is about letting go of control and bringing the right people. I recommend. I think the book I highly recommend for people to read is the not. I think not the right. Yeah, what's it? I didn't remember. What is it? The right who? Wait. I'll just think about it.
No, I'll put it in the chat box later.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So it's called. I think it's not ask the right who, or it's about finding the right who for your business. Right who means who is that right person who can take the business forward. Okay. So
okay.
yeah. So if you have that right who, if you have that, so if you have the right people taking the right responsibilities in your business, you can write down. If you're a startup or a solopreneur, you can write down you can create your own organization chart, thinking that who is the right person, who is the right qualified person to do that job. So that once you grow, you can start looking for people like that. And biggest myth people have is, hey, I have to pay money to hire a resource. It's not always that. It's not always people. There are a lot of people who want to contribute, who are employees who want to take up extra, get experience. You can utilize them, because once you are clear about what is expected outcome from that role, then you can focus on your revenue generating activities. That's where you can actually focus on more return on time invested. The more you do your revenue generating activities, that the more you can do. So we do a small activity in our workshops where we pick up the critical role of any business. So for me, my critical role in my business is running webinars, because I'm good at it. I'm the only one who should do it because that is my highest revenue rate. Because when I do the webinars, conversion rate is like tremendous, up to 80% conversion rate. There's hardly anyone who don't convert. So that is my highest revenue
Hmm.
activity. So you need to figure out in your business what is that highest revenue generating activity, and then where should I not do things. The rest of the things you need to create. These are not mine. There's a lot of this emotional baggage you will have, right? A lot of attachment you will have for a lot of tasks that you have been traditionally doing for like years and years together. So when we do this activity, people are
Hmm.
so much, they can't even imagine that, oh, I should not be doing it, I should not be doing it. They're asking me 100 times. Letting go is the whole art of growing business.
Hmm. No, I think I can relate to a lot of business people, having this aligned process. Say, one, they are so much attached to their business that they are not even spending time to their family or any other aspects. Number one. Number two, thinking that I'm saving costs, they are not hiring.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you have given the reverse idea of letting go multiple things and then scale up, which will realistically helping people to grow up next years. Otherwise, they will be on the same stage again and again. No matter 5 years or 10 years in the same business, they will be at the same stage. Right.
And then they
So,
start complaining. Yeah, they start complaining that, oh, look, my competition. Because the problem is with the founder itself, right? And 90% of businesses don't go to the next level is because it is a solopreneur driven business. And the biggest problem for solopreneurs is they don't have enough money.
right,
And it's
right.
chicken, like, I don't have money, I cannot hire. I cannot hire because,
Hmm,
okay, when I hire, what should I give them? I should pay them. I don't have money to pay them.
hmm,
You see, this problem, this chicken and egg, the only thing that can happen is when the first step is, of course, get massive volume right now, right? Okay, as a solopreneur, get so much volume that you say, God, I cannot do it on my own. You must feel so overwhelmed that
hmm,
you must feel so overwhelmed that you can't hire people. And once you hire people, your
hmm,
job is to make sure that you handhold them and give everything that you are doing, teach them how to do, give them the SOPs.
hmm.
They will start doing it. They will start doing it. That's it.
Okay, that should be a sequence where we aim at volumes and then hire people, scale up, step by step. That should be the chain of the entire logistics when we are planning to scale up.
Yes, volume. I think everywhere. I think we are in doubt. Go for volume.
Okay.
And I know some businesses who say, "Hey, I cannot take more customers." Right? I cannot deal with more customers.
Hmm,
I think that the primary problem there is it is not a
hmm,
system
hmm.
driven person. It's a person driven business. It's a consultant business more or like it's
Correct.
like doctor. Is one doctor who can only treat one patient at one time. You're talking about roti, right? These consultants, these
Hmm,
professionals,
hmm,
they sell their time and they have limited time. So if you
hmm,
have
hmm,
limited
hmm.
time, you can
Correct.
only make limited amount of money, correct?
Hmm,
But
hmm, hmm,
Narayan Murthy and all these big entrepreneurs, if you see, they are leveraging. They are leveraging others'
hmm,
resources. Leveraging can
hmm,
be
hmm,
employees' time. They're leveraging others' time, right?
hmm, hmm,
That
hmm.
is how they are scaling. So to start with, get volume, right? Get volume, get overwhelmed. Let that be a good problem to have. Get volume because now, we all know, right? Facebook ads nowadays is so cheap. You can get a lot of leads, and you can just roll it up fast.
True. Makes sense. Makes sense. So we were talking about all this workshop which you have involved, you have conducted, and all that. So you could have seen a lot of startups where what do you see the most common cash flow pitfalls where the startups keep on encountering, and how can we proactively avoid them so that we are systematically ready?
So the biggest problem is they themselves are investing their own savings in a startup. The
Correct.
See, and typically true for tech startups. Typically true for tech startups and buying things which they may require in the future. Creating a thing
Hmm.
which may not be utilized right now, right? So, I met someone in the Thai summit, and this guy had come from Chennai. He said, "Hey, I'm building this WhatsApp alternative." I think I spoke about it in our previous episodes, and he has been building,
Yes.
building, building,
Yes. Yes.
and I asked, why didn't you go to the market? He is in this preparation zone. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
biggest mistake a startup can do is putting your own money to create something, spending your own money, lakhs and lakhs of rupees. I have been there myself. I have done it myself. But the right thing to do would be to go to the market first, get the deal in, and then you create as a second step. If you don't do it, what happens is you're creating without, because our cash is limited, our resources are limited, and if you don't know who is going to be the customer,
Right.
then you launch the product hoping that the customer is going to come and give you money. It is not going to happen because customers are not waiting for a product like you are imagining in your own world in a small bubble. You're going to get disappointed, frustrated, start gulling, and then you start running behind investors looking for an escape, and it is not going to happen as well. So ultimately, it is going to be a wasted effort. So the biggest mistake that you can do is to put your own money to create your own business. Never do it. Learn the art of leverage, and that's what we talk about when they come to our workshops, our webinar. You have been to our webinar. We talk about how do we leverage other resources legally, ethically, morally.
Okay. So at one area, we are talking about the growth, scalability, rapid growth, and multiple other things. And one end, there should be a positive cash flow. Only then I can think of scaling up, rapid growth, innovations, and multiple things. So how do you see, or how effectively we can balance both of the things? Because both are equally important. Both needs equal efforts and time. So how do you think that can be balanced?
So
One positive cash flow, and one is rapid growth.
positive. Okay, got it. So positive cash flow and rapid growth, right? So and then
Rapid
what's
growth.
you said about innovation, something, right? Is it no?
I mean, we as a startup, we are running behind innovations, incorporating new technologies into the system. We are running behind those things where we meet a lot of people, try to incorporate those things. That's one area where we are running behind, multiple efforts on developing our own product scalability. Those is one area we are running behind. The other parallel area which we are running behind is the positive cash flow, where I need to have a stability to think. I mean, implement what I can think. So how do you think this both can be balanced so
Got
that
it.
I can run parallelly and then
Yeah.
implement?
Got it. So now when I'm sharing this, people might say, "Hey, this is absolutely stupid. What I'm sharing, right? How can I sell a product without have a product? I need to first develop the product, and then I need to sell the product, and then my customer is going to get impressed. I'm going to like get the money. Correct? I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. You should not do, because you should not be hiring your resources or developing a product. Also, you should not be doing that unless you have a client who is interested, or if he's going to commit paying for you, and then you at least get that advance.
Okay.
Also, what is possible definitely is you are not the first ever startup. Okay, startups think that I am the first ever, nobody else knows what I do, I am the only one. That is a typical me only, right? That is an ego thing. To accept that there are people who are smarter than you, to accept that there are already products someone has already built and they have failed, they are putting it in their storage room. You can utilize that and start selling it already. Nobody told you that you should create something from scratch. That is only a school teacher who told you that you write your own homework, don't copy from others. You see how everywhere. So never ever create your own product. So that's one thing, right? So once you are saving your money by not creating a product, like it can be lakhs and lakhs of rupees, because it is not only about the money you're spending to create it, it's about the time you take to create a product. You see,
Makes sense.
it's two times, right? You're getting that opportunity cost and plus the physical cost of spending money is cash, physical cash, right? We are saving that already, and then go into the market, become the real salesperson, go and actually sell it. Because once you start talking to the customer, you get the right thing. You get to hear what the customer is looking for. And from there, it is the right way to redesign the product. If you want to design the product, go to the market and see what doesn't work, what is the customer's pain point, and then you go back and design the product. That is more sustainable, because
Absolutely makes sense.
now you know who you should go and talk to, because now I have a product, I can go and talk to the customer to sell it right now.
Hmm, 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 hmm. Hmm. No, I think you're talking all the way like reverse engineering things where it absolutely making a lot of sense, and we can relate to a lot of elements which we have done in the past. I have done this mistake in the past where created a product and running behind the customer, and rather finding a fault in the existing system and creating product made a lot of sense. So I can relate to what you are processing as a reverse engineering. So that aligns to another question related to that, but how important is this cash flow forecasting for at least next 1 year for a startup? And what are the best practices they should adopt so that they can ensure, avoid the risk or stability or positive mindset? So, what are the best practices which you suggest to the scaling startup?
Yeah. So see, everything is so there are two contradictory things I'm talking about, right? One is go to the market straight away, correct? And second thing is forecast. Forecast has an element of I already have a product, I will sell so many products, correct? So they're a little bit contradictory, but when it comes to forecasting, you can also use other products to sell as well. Let us be clear about it, right? So from that point of view, so you need to have see all of
Okay.
us start with assumptions that I will be able to sell so many products by this time based on these reasons. And that is exactly what is a business plan, right? Business plan is so I will do this by
Mm-hmm.
by this time, and this is what I will be doing, and when I do it, I'll do this. So we have some plans, and of course, most of the plans don't work, of course, right? So, but forecasting will help us to identify when do you require what resource at what time. So, how a forecasting might look like is how many products I'm going to sell, and what is the cost of acquiring these products. One second. So what is the cost of acquiring these products? What is the cost of delivery? That is a because you have done your unit metric, right? Now from there you extrapolate. Now if I increase the volume, remember we talked about volume. Now once I increase the volume, how much more would I be doing it? Because now if I have the volume, I would have made extra profit. Then I would start scaling it up, going to the next level. Now, of course, we should have around 20% kept away for our own emergencies because life gets life happens, right? 20% you have to keep it aside as an emergency fund. That this is not going to happen.
Yes.
So if you're making 30% margin through your forecasting, you keep away 20% that it is going to be a risk, keeping aside for risk. It might be whatever dynamics, correct? So then you're
Mm-hmm.
building your 10% as your net margin that you're working with, right? So you start building it, and then you can say, okay, this is what I'm doing. And this forecasting is very essential for two reasons. One, to sell to your suppliers or to your partners, and of course to your employees that hey, look, guys, this is what the vision is. This is what we're going after. Because every business which has scaled is a mission and a vision driven business. As a leader, it is your job to give the vision and the clarity about what is going to happen, what is not happening. And every
Mm-hmm.
business which is a measured business, a measuring business has scaled. As a startup, we might be winging it, but as soon as you start measuring in a business, including the return on time invested or what is the individual, I think the best metric is uh, you know revenue per employee. How much revenue has have you been able to take out of the employee? Because that's your actual cash flow generator. Because that will help you to also help you to start firing out people who are not performing, because you can show them that this is not working, right? So now all these are part of your projections. End of the day, it's all about measuring. Because this cash is an ultimate result of a lot of things. So cash is an outcome, and cash, to get that efficiently, you must have your measures at every level, including, as I said, employee measurement and performance measures. Everything at how much cost am I getting at, how much is my expenses. Everything must be measured completely.
Mm-hmm. Fine. So, see that one element which we all startups struggle is on the negotiations with suppliers and clients. where we start feeling little inferior at the beginning stage, right? So we are not a great brand, or we don't have a personal brand to say this is the pricing and you buy for it, right?
Yeah.
So when we have that kind of a situation, like how do we negotiate with suppliers and clients so that we are safe and improve the cash flow so that we don't get the risk of discounting or offering something. Have you seen that kind of an experience, or can you share some input with
Yeah.
your kind of an examples?
So I'm working with a client, and is exactly what we are doing. Okay, and no, this is about how can you leverage. See, I'm a big fan of leverage. Everyone is doing business for more sales, and they're looking for more. Correct. And if you understand that aspect, you can, if you become the vehicle to deliver that more, they'll be happy to talk to you. Correct. So if you talk to a supplier and tell him that, hey, look, I'm going to give you volume, and these are the reasons why, right? So in our ecosystem, we talk about platform becoming a platform where you can aggregate volume as well. So if you are able to aggregate volume on one side and you go to a supplier that, hey, look, I can give you all this volume, can you give me a good price? Then the supplier has no option but to give you volume, give you good prices. So that becomes the focus. So end of the day, it's about positioning yourself. The biggest challenge I see founders when I'm talking to them is, hey, I should do everything on my own, right? That's the whole mindset again, right? So what I have, I should speak. I should, what I don't have, I should not speak. That's like the honesty bug, right? Bug that, oh, I should talk the truth. I'm not. It is the truth, the same truth. It is said in a different way, correct? That I'm part of a bigger ecosystem. I can get you more volume. End of the day, you want to tell the supplier what you want to hear, right? It's all about doing the right thing, because the ultimate service that you can do for yourself is earning a lot much more money that you could generate by leveraging other resources than getting stuck with what you have already. Because we always have constraints, because as entrepreneurs, we are resource constrained. We don't have a lot of things. Now, if you always go with, I don't have a lot of things, can you give me a good deal? Nobody's going to talk to you. They all are looking for selfish motives. So you have to play with the motives. That is the only way you can negotiate.
I mean, increasing perceived value in terms of comparative products makes a lot of difference, because now they have a bundle of benefits rather than going with one product. I think that perceived value, increasing the perceived value, make a lot of sense when it comes to negotiation, especially.
Correct.
Right. So now that comes to the last part of our session, where I would like to ask what are the key bad signals of a crisis, cash flow crisis, which if we see, okay, if we are coming across those kind of a bad signal, uh, what what kind of preparatory elements a startup has to do, or have you seen with startups that, okay, these are all the signals and this guy has to be very cautious?
Right. So when we look at investment, right, when we look at some deals, we're able to identify some traits. Maybe that's your question. How do we know? See, now certain times I get a call from companies that, hey, I'm looking for some kind of a working capital, and see, there are some signs that these are all family run businesses, and there is no clarity in their accounting. So these businesses don't have clarity at each level. So whenever you don't
Okay.
have clarity at each level about how the money is getting generated, because what is happening is these founders typically are taking away money from the profit they're getting, and they're eating away the whole working capital somewhere. So there is no one answer to this question, because it's very subjective. So typically, when it is a solopreneur driven, single family run business, it's not
True.
professional run, not systems driven. There's no accountability at each level. Obviously, there will be some cash flow challenge for sure, right? So now we to make it professional. Once we dig in and go from the unit level up to the up level, we start finding efficiencies. A lot of bad habits get crept up, right? So, for example, like founder might be using the company credit card for his personal use. Founder might be using travel for his personal travel for on his company account. Now, because it is his own company, he's utilizing all those resources. So unless we get into details of such examples, so it is difficult to like in generalize what is that sign. But typically, when they are going through any kind of a cash crunch, typically it's a signal that some fundamentals is a problem, because either the founder does not know how to market himself, or maybe there is no value in the business anymore. So we may look at once we dig into
They
this.
are not even ready with a product or a preparatory element for the market.
The bigger problem, the cash is an outcome, right? The cash is an outcome. The bigger source might be something else. So unless we dig in, it is difficult to generalize. Okay, what might be a signal, right? But it's a signal. If someone is going through a cash crunch, or a company is going through cash crunch, which was earlier profitable, either the market has shifted the with the market, the founder has not moved, or what is it? So you need to figure out, right? So cash is an outcome. So the adaptability and being aggressive, changing the market, learning from the market, all those traits are a initiator of the this one, right? If you don't have those traits, it shows in the cash flow as well.
No, I think the two major elements you have indicated that makes a lot of sense. One is the clarity part of it, where we can see with a lot of people that when they are speaking about their product themselves, that itself is not very clarified. Second, the major elements which you have revealed is the entity part of it. The what is a business entity, what is their personal entity. So that itself makes a lot of difference, where they have a separate entity, business entity or not. That gives a huge indication of how they are scaling up or whether they are prepared for everything.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for your time, giving all these nuances, because there's a major headache for all the startups where they come prepared with the product, everything fine, but for running business, cash flow is something very very mandatory element to figure out, and it's not something I have 6 months cash flow, 1 year cash flow, because they have to have a good forecasting for next 3 to 5 years. So I think a lot of nuances has been revealed in this session, and hoping towards much more other ideas in the upcoming sessions. So as usual, do you have any suggestions for the right books which is related to cash flow or any other elements with regard to the
So
startups?
I think cash flow is such a fantastic subject. I think the right way to learn it is by digging into the books, right? I think the aspect of creating Excels, maintaining your Excels accounts, that itself will give you a lot of lessons about what is not happening in the business. I said cash is an outcome. So if you want to understand where is the root cause, you have to go through all the things that are happening in business, because that is the ultimate thing, right? Okay, this is where is overspending going on. This is where an employee is not contributing. So that itself will give you a lot of lessons, right? So if you're able to maintain details of every step about the whole money generation process, then itself is itself a lot of learning there, right? A lot of learning to optimize, to change the whole process, to learn, because it's a continuous process. This is the companies, because in bigger companies are always optimizing systems, and then you create a complete SOP out of it.
Makes a lot of sense. Make a lot of sense. So going forward, we will be talking a lot of other mandatory elements for a startup. So audience who are watching this particular podcast, stay tuned for another episode with 10 Crore Club YouTube channel and our in LinkedIn Live. So thank you so much, Kashyap, for sharing the nuances of a lot of elements which has to be very valuable advice to the startups. See you soon again with one more podcast. Thank you. Thank you so much.